Hey YouTube, in this video I'm going to be doing a deck profile on my newly updated Revenger Phantom deck. So this is my Phantom build. So as you can tell by the name, it's going to feature the Phantom Revenger boss units, and it's formatted for Stride or updated for Stride. So I'm going to do something different. This time I'm going to actually go over the Stride deck first because it's really simple. So I am running for this deck 2 Drag Ruler, Revenant. Because I'm running Drag Ruler, you gotta run Revenant. Even though Revenant, in my opinion, isn't really all that great, the main thing with Revenant is you're gonna pull out the Limit Break Enabler. So if you don't have it, that's what you're gonna stride him if you need the Limit Break Enabler, because he basically he fills your drop zone with a Revenger for Legion and pulls out the Limit Break Enabler if you have to go into Drag Ruler first. So that's why we run 2 copies of him. But typically, you almost always only call him out once per game. I don't think I've ever called him out twice. And then next, I am running the Grim Recruiter. I wish I had 2, but basically there should be 2 Grim Recruiter. But for now, it's 1 Grim Recruiter and 1 Dark Knight. And then the 4 Diablo, Phantom Blaster Diablo, is just way too good. And it's so easy to get these cards. It's ridiculous. It's like Shadow Paladin, buy a Legend deck, and there's your Season Pass for being super good in Vanguard. It's very auto mode. Anyway, for the main deck, I am running for Revenger Drag Ruler Phantom. This is actually the first deck I'm actually featuring him. So never actually built the deck with him until now, where the focus was on Stride, specifically. So Drag Ruler Phantom's in here. He's a really good backup to my other Vanguard, which is... one is this Legion Rare, 1 is SP, and 2 triple. 4 of the Revenger Phantom Blaster Abyss. So people probably already know what this guy does. He is the main Vanguard you kind of want to open up with. You want to hope that this is in your starting hand. If he's not in your starting hand and you open up with Drag Ruler, the deck will play out very much like a typical Stride deck. Kind of like, you know, any kind of like this guy or this guy or this guy. It'll play out like a Stride-based type of deck if you open up with Drag Ruler. So typically you want to open up with Abyss and do your typical, you know, Legion, format style, restand, all that, those shenanigans that they're known for doing. And the deck is also, the reason why Mordred is not in here is because Break Ride is slow. You don't want to go to 4 damage up against someone like Lambros or, you know, just a really aggressive deck like Risers with the Cat Butler restand and all that kind of stuff. So, or even the Die Kaisers with the Laurels. Those are really, really annoying matchups for Shadow Paladin when you are sitting on a Mordred at 3 damage and someone just broke Ride a Die Kaiser on you and you only have 1 Sentinel in your hand plus some random stuff. So that's not a good situation. So that's the reason why I took out Mordred. Yes, people will probably still play him. That's fine, but my build's more unique. It's focused more on consistency and stability of the plays and the play style. It just gives you more, in my opinion, more outs to different situations. So that's why we run the Drag Ruler and we pair him with the Restander. That's the grade 3 lineup. For grade 2, obviously 4 Legion Mate. All my decks, almost every single one of my decks, I think the Amaterasu deck is the only one where I'm not running 4 Legion Mate in a Legion focused deck. 4 of him. He's really good. He kills starters for CB1. But you typically are going to try to conserve your Counterblast. That's the only thing about this deck is conserve Counterblast. So 4 of him. 4 Wily Revenger mana. People are probably like, well, what is this doing in here? Well, if you notice, Drag Ruler's in here. And they got a new card called a Limit Break Enabler. And it just so happens to be Revenger. So Drag Ruler with Limit Break Enabler is extremely good. It is very scary. And that's why we max copies of mana. Because obviously you can't use Makart with Drag Ruler. So in the off chance where you have to ride him first, typically you're going to be seeing one of these. You'll call Limit Break Enabler. Then you can CB1, retire her and the Limit Break Enabler. And he gets to 10,000, he deals the opponent 1 damage. So yeah, basically push the opponent. It's kind of like a soft rush with him. So that's why I kind of think him and the Restander are in my opinion are just a little bit better right now compared to the typical break ride with him. Yeah, the break ride's really strong, but you know, if your opponent's playing smart, they're gonna be ready for that when you swing twice with that huge number. So, and you have to go so far into the game to do that, which is what I don't like. So yeah, 4 mana. And then 3 of this new guy that came out in set 3. Android Revenger Tyrannon, whatever his name is. This guy replaced McCart. Because this basically, this makes the restand play, assuming you have the 3 CB required to do this, because the deck is very counterblast heavy. Yeah, basically, they have to, when you Legion, which is also the turn that he'll be able to do his restand. So that's why it makes logical sense to pair him with this guy. But yeah, you can throw him in with Cormac. It's hard to figure out how that would actually work. Yeah, actually, so basically what he does is when your Vanguard Legions, you can CB1, the Vanguard gets this red effect, where basically when the Vanguard attacks, the opponent has to retire rear guard. If they don't, they cannot block the attack. And the fact that he's a restander, that makes them have to blow up 2 things on their field to try to block him twice. Or if they block him the second time, then, you know, it's still really annoying because they still have to retire something. So, kind of a gimmicky play, very situational play because of the resource management of all the counterblasting in the deck, but I am trying it out. I was able to pull it off one time, and so far, out of like 3 or 4 games. So it's like 25% chance you'll see this effect. It just really depends on how you spend your counterblast that game. Like if you open up with one of these that you can actually use or not. But yeah, 3 of him. And then for the grade 1s, the 2 Swordbreaker, 2 Blackwing Swordbreaker, really, you don't play more than 2 of this. I used to be playing 1 of this. I bumped it up to 2 just because of Drag Ruler. Because of Drag Ruler, I bumped it up to 2. If I was not playing Drag Ruler, I would stick it at 1, keep it at 1, because there's better stuff to run now. But anyway, so people are probably like, well, what do you mean Drag Ruler? Drag Ruler can't retire this. Obviously, Drag Ruler cannot retire this. What I'm saying is that you're going to need the big hand advantage, because Drag Ruler will minus you 2 on your field to deal that damage to the opponent and gain 10k. So you do go heavy minus on the field before you swing, which is why it's kind of tough to gain a lot of advantage out of it. But just the 2 for the off chance where your Judge Bow gives you +2. So basically it's like +3 gain, because this replaces Judge Bow. This is a +1. Then this one draws +1 card, so that's +2. Then this draws another one, so it's +3 gain. So that's why with Drag Ruler, it's just really good. So 2 Swordbreaker. And then 2 Trumpeteer. Clutch plays, but you almost never see the effect because you need to conserve the counterblast. But I have actually used this once just to get the 3rd card. So Mana called this, and then CB1 for something else. Then Drag Ruler retired, Counterblast 1, retired the thing that this thing called that was rested behind him, and retired this, so, and then gained 10 and deal damage. So, yeah, 2 of this, still pretty good. And then 2 Transient Revenger Masquerade, just to rush. There's not a whole lot of other targets to run, or good grade 1s to run besides him. Now, really, you could run the new Trumpeteer from the Legend deck. You could run like 4 of that in here instead, but I'm not going to do that. I mean, yeah, I could do it, but it's in another one of my Shadow Paladin decks that I'll be featuring in another video, so that's the reason why it's not in here. So I went with this lineup. They're all Revengers. You need to retire Revengers for both of these guys, so you run Revengers. And then next, the new card that basically made Drag Ruler go from 0 to hero and replace Mordor Phantom. Mordor Phantom basically went Super Saiyan 2 into Drag Ruler Phantom mode and stayed there permanently thanks to this one card. Drag Ruler is now amazing. So basically, it's a limit break enabler for Revenger Shadow Paladins. Any Shadow Paladin can use it, but it's got Revenger in the name, so it works with Drag Ruler. And in my opinion, from playtesting all the different Revenger bosses, like this guy, Mordred Phantom himself, you know, all the kind of random like limit break stuff, Drag Ruler is the one card that benefits the most, because he deals direct damage to the opponent. There's not a lot of cards that do that. The only other one is this guy called Vortex Dragonute from Kagero. Drag Ruler was actually the first card to have this effect. He was the second. He improved upon it because the opponent, basically, when the only bad thing about the deal 1 damage is if they check a trigger, the trigger effect still resolves with Drag Ruler. So if they get a heal, if they're at 3 and you're at 3 or 2, when this goes off, because you know it can go off because you got Limit Break Enabler, so you can do this at 1 damage or 2 damage. It's hilarious. Because all you gotta do is like call mana and then call this out if you don't already have one, and then you can just go off. But they can heal out of it. They can check a critical. They can check a draw, and they'll get the effect. Whereas Vortex, he improved upon it. He basically said, no, I'm gonna burn that trigger. You can't get the effect. But still, with the Limit Break Enabler, this effect, in my opinion, is the best one that gains the benefit. So that's why I went with him. Yeah, so 4 of that. And 4 of Karma Collector. So this is the new Shadow Paladin Perfect Guard. It's the Perfect Guard G, or whatever people are calling it, PGG. The Generation Perfect Guard. So when it... Basically, it's the unflip one. So if you put it there, you guard, and then the Vanguard, it has to be Vanguard, and it has to be from the hand. Then you discard something. If there was another one in the drop zone, you unflip a damage. So that's just super important here, because I'm not running the Dorant and the Blaster Dart combo anymore. So yeah, this is the unflip engine for this deck. Typically, you will almost always see that happen like once, and that could be a clutch play if you Legion late in the game. It could be clutch in getting you the grade 2, this thing, where is it? This guy's effect off. It can give you that on the next turn. So Karma Collector is just really good. Typically, with all the manas and Judge Bows and stuff, you won't have too big of a problem with Revenger stuff. All your triggers are Revenger, so Karma Collector can fit in here. And because you have a Restander, it balances out against somebody like, you know, like the Cross, or somebody who is gonna pressure you where you can't use these against a rearguard attack. So yeah, trigger lineup is typical 4 draw, because you need to replenish your hand. You are going to minus your field so much with these 2 guys, it's ridiculous. And without Mordred to replenish the field, you need draws. This is that simple. And then criticals and heals. So standard 4, 8, 4. And then Judge Bow is a starter, obviously. He works with Phantoms. He's a Phantom. He was actually the main star meant for this guy originally. Then everybody teched him in with this guy when he came out. So Judge Bow is really good. And Judge Bow will call your Sword Breakers. If he only can call 1, then obviously he's also going to call your Limit Break Enabler. So, hope you guys enjoyed that video. This was a pretty long one. But I just wanted to explain the choices, why I went with the Drag Ruler, because of a certain card that came out in set 3. And yeah, like I said, guys, hope you like this video, and if you want to see more videos like this, stay tuned for more in the future, and as always, don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.